Hi everyone, and welcome to today's event. We're delighted to have you here on Hopin, where you can enjoy networking sessions and fun activities throughout the event. In order to get the most out of Hopin, let's check out some of its key features. On the left-hand sidebar, you'll see several different icons. The camera icon, where you are now, is the main stage. This is where all the sessions will take place. You've likely noticed the handshake icon. This is our networking area. Here, you can connect on a one-to-one basis with another participant who's already in the networking area. On the right-hand side of the screen, you'll find interactive functions that you can use throughout the session. First, our speakers may also use polls and Q&As, so please participate in those when prompted. And finally, for those who would prefer to listen in another language, we'll be offering translations in the languages shown on screen now. Please click on the Translation tab to listen to the audio track in your preferred language. Now, let's get started with today's agenda.
Everyone. Welcome to Google Play LATAM Apps Week. My name is Carol and I lead the Google Play Apps team in LATAM. This is the event that we put together for you, LATAM developers, in order to help you develop your apps, improve your app's quality, and make your business grow and succeed on Android. As you know, we have prepared a full week of event for you. We have 2 days of webinars today and tomorrow, and the rest of the week we'll be delivering content straight to your inbox. We have 2 special videos and one summary with one handout summary with all the links that we'll be mentioning throughout the event, so you have it at hand. But before we start, I have a few reminders for you. So you will notice on the left side of your screen, as you just saw on the video, that we have live translations in Portuguese and Spanish. We want you to feel comfortable and enjoy the event in the language that you're more familiar with. Also, on the left side, you will see the Q&A. We have a team here working to be able to answer your questions throughout the event or afterwards. And if anytime you need any help, make sure you reach out to our help desk team on the left side of your screen. Yes. So the 2 days of webinars, we'll have today and tomorrow. Tomorrow we have one special track for you to prepare your business for 2022, and I'll share that agenda in just a bit. And tomorrow we'll have 2 different tracks. The first track is on engagement and monetization, and the second track is focused on developing for success. That specific track is going to be more technical and focused on development itself. Today, we're going to share with you what's new on Google Play in just a little bit. Lauren is going to share you some cool tips to plan for success on Google Play with the Reach and Devices report. We'll have some amazing tips on onboarding, and later on, Tom from our Play Console team is going to share with you how the Google Play Console can help you to plan and can help you with planning tools for your market insights on the Play Console. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Regina, the Google Play LATAM Director. Regina, the stage is yours.
Hello, nice to see you again. My name is Regina Chama. I'm the director for Google Play in Latin America. I'm very happy to be here in our second online event. Happy to share some data for Latin America as well as what's new on Google Play. So over the last year, a very challenging year, I think everybody suffered a little bit over the last 12 months, but I have to, first of all, thank you so much for all your amazing work that you put together to make sure that our users were delighted with your apps and games that you built for the platform. Early this year during Google I/O, we actually announced that we have over 140 billion downloads in the last 12 months globally. And this is thank you for all your work that you've done with us. One thing that I want to highlight, some data for the market, maybe you already seen that, but the top downloaded categories in Latin America were tools, productivity, social, communication, and entertainment. And of course, this is not a coincidence. This is not a surprise. We know that most of the people that we had that restrictions of mobility, and we have to stay at home for most of our time during the last 12 months in the region. So tools and productivity was, of course, the top two categories downloaded in Latin America. Regarding top categories in terms of growth, we keep with almost the same ones: social, video players, arts and design, education, and sports. I want to highlight sports here. It's been a while that we don't see a category that is attached to outdoor events. And I think as we progress through the pandemic, and hopefully we are almost at the end of it, we are going to see more and more these categories related to outdoors events and entertainment. But of course, we know that spend is super important for everyone that run our business. For the ones that actually work with us for a long time, you know how much time and energy we put to make sure that our users in Latin America, they can actually use the platform and they can pay that they can spend using our platform. So actually, we now have a 52% increase in spend on apps in Latin America, especially in Chile, Colombia, and Peru. And I'm very, very happy to share, because we've been investing in Brazil and Mexico for a long time, and finally we are expanding for other countries and important countries in Latin America. And the top categories in revenue spent is entertainment, social, lifestyle, education, and health and fitness. I want to highlight education here again. Education really keeps showing on the top categories, and I think this is not, not a coincidence, as for the first time, the online schooling, or just be working from home or studying from home, was a reality, and I think we were able to scale this I would say new environment. Aside for Latin America countries, these are the most popular countries to export your app among our regional developers. So if you think about something, if you think your app has a possibility to go to other regions, countries as India, US, Indonesia, Japan, Spain, and Russia are on the top countries for you to export. Count on us if you want to have more best practice, if you want to learn more about it, and we are here to support you to export your app. With users more engaged, of course, the ecosystem is growing. I really want to highlight that we had two outstanding metrics this year. We had 30% increase on devs with 1 million daily active users. And also we had 30% more devs making 20,000 US on a monthly basis. And what I want to as well to share with you are the top of mind pillars of Play to help you through this journey. We're going to talk a little bit about business and policy insights, performance and quality, engaging and monetization, and developer education. When we talk about policy insights, we are talking about data, no? And when we talk about data, we are going to talk about Google Play Console. If you haven't, of course, I'm sure everybody here knows about Google Play Console. It's our tool. It's where we invest a lot of time. We have tons of engineers working to make sure that we have the best tool for you to develop or to launch and to understand the performance of your app. So the Google Play Console is the place for you to really work and see the new opportunities. And talking about the new opportunities, this was launched back in March. Potentially you already seen it, But we do have a report right now to help you identify opportunities to grow revenue and compare to your peers. If you haven't checked, I highly recommend you to do so. We are going to have one of the product managers here later with us today. I think in one of the tracks to talk more about this new area of the console. Secondly, and maybe the most important one here is the policy status, no, and the policy update, and I would say our policy page. We want to make sure that we have more transparency when we talk about policy. Policy is top of mind for us on Play. It's important for user safety. Is important for the developer safety. Is important for the ecosystem. So if you haven't checked, please make sure that you check your policy status. Is where you're gonna find everything related to your app regarding the whenever you are compliant or not with our policies. On that page specifically, you can also, if you have any problem, you can appeal directly from that page and really talk directly with our policy team. And talking about policy, this is a very important thing that is going to change for early next year. So we are going to have there is a data safety section right now that we are going to start explaining for users how how the data is used, or how your app actually collect and store the user's data so they can download with more confidence. So this is going to be available for users in February 2022. If you haven't yet checked, please make sure to check on that link, fill out the form, understand what you have to do for your app to make sure you are ready for it when we get early next year. Moving to performance and quality. Talking a little bit about Android App Bundle. Android App Bundle has been helping developers reduce their app size for many, many years. This is nothing new. What I want to highlight here that is new, actually, if you haven't seen, it became mandatory for any new app starting on August this year. It has to use the Android App Bundle. And we did that because we really believe it's simpler, it's faster, it really reduced the size of your app, and there are so many features important that can help you and help users. Just an example that I really like, this one, that users can submit their in-app review directly from the app. They don't need to leave the app and go to the store. You can also present an update for your app directly from the app as well, so the user can have the latest version running from your app. So App Bundle is a must-have. I highly recommend you to start working on it if you haven't so, but I really believe everybody here potentially is already using it. Another important one that is going to happen, I think this is a lot because of your feedback to us, is related to the upcoming changes on ratings and review, how we are changing the methodology that we're going to show ratings and reviews. So by the end of this year, users going to start seeing ratings and reviews specific to their country, so where the phone is registered. And by early next year, users are going to start seeing the reviews and ratings specific to their device. This is a big change. This is something that you as a developer was asking us for a long time, and now we are implementing. You can already check the preview, your preview rating for your app in the console. So take a look there. If you have to change anything on your app, adjust any quality or do any improvements, now is the time to do before the user starts seeing the rating early next year. Last but not least, and you're going to have Lauren meet on just after me today, we are going to really talk a little bit about what we launch, a new tool about reach and devices. The idea here is to help you to understand and to fix, help you to understand features and fix and improvements for you to have a better reach to users and to devices for your app. It's pretty new. I'm sure you're going to delight with this new tool. The third pillar is engagement and monetization. We've done a lot this year, lots of good news here to share. And the first one that I would like to mention, this is something that we launched early this year, is that for every single app, for every single company, I would say, no, that has their first a million USD, $1 million in earnings, will have a service fee of 15%. And starts as soon as you enroll and you get approved, of course, you're going to start having a service fee of 15%. This is for everything. This is for in-app, this is for subscription, this is for apps, this is for games, this is for any type of digital goods that you have inside your app or game for the store. If you haven't yet, please take a look at the link below so you can benefit from it. And I want to highlight that 99% of our developers are eligible for the service fee. The second one that I want to highlight that we just announced, I would say 3 weeks ago. This is a big thing. We know that subscription is the fastest growing business model for the Play Store. We also know that churn is a big thing for a lot of verticals. If you think about dating, education, health and fitness, before we have a service fee that it was 30% for the first 12 months and then 15% for the next after 1 year. And we understand that we needed to simplify things. So this was a big announcement that we did. If you haven't seen, just check on our blog post. But starting on January 1st on 2022, all subscriptions will have a 15% service fee since day one. This is super important. This is thanks for all the feedback that we collect from the developers. And I'm very happy to also reiterate this announcement that we made a few weeks ago, especially for Latin America developers. Last but not least, when we talk about monetization, when we talk about retention, we know how important is the purchase flow, how important is the features on the billing platform. We invest a lot on that. We make sure that we create new ways for users to pay. We have new subscription promotion capabilities, new purchase attribution for games. So we keep investing a lot to make sure we have the best library for you. One thing that we are launching on the Billing 4.0 is an in-app messaging feature that for me is incredible. So if a user has any problem with their payment inside, whenever the user are in that moment on the user flow, they would be able to correct directly from that page, not having to go to the Play Store and fix their payment profile. This is huge, and developers that are in the early stage program, early access program, are already benefiting a lot. So this is important. We also add our early cadence for changing our billing library. So make sure you are updated and you know when is your target date to change, and you are complying with the billing library. Just the status of 99% improvement in subscription recovery. And last but not least, of course, developer education. We wish we could do these events a lot. We hope that next year this event is going to be in person, as we miss everyone. We miss. We really would like to connect in person and our networking momentums. But we do have a place which is 24/7. No, it's the Google Play Academy. It's a place not only for It's a place not only for developers or programmers, engineers, but actually for business people, for marketers, for everyone in your company that works with Google Play and develop the product and have to know everything about it. We launch all our courses, everything that we talk about policy, about features is there. So I highly recommend you to please make sure you take a look, as well as you share with your team and make sure that everybody's up to date. And I hope really you enjoy the content that we prepare for you today. And now I'd like to invite Laura Mitten to the virtual stage. I see you soon, and thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, Regina. Hello, everyone. My name is Lauren Mitten, and I'm a product manager in Google Play. I'm going to talk to you today about a new tool in the Play console called Reach and Devices, and how you can use it to increase your app's success on Google Play. To get started, I'd like to introduce to you the concept of quality reach. The foundations for your app's success on Google Play are its reach and its quality. Reach is about whether a user could access your app, which starts with whether it's available for them to install on the Play Store. Quality is about whether they'll have a good experience when using it. To unlock the opportunity in any single user on Google Play, you need both. You need reach so that the user is able to install your app in the first place, and you need quality so that they will also have a good experience when they use it. You can think of this as quality reach. When you have quality reach, your development, marketing budgets, and growth strategy can be lined up to reinforce each other. In other words, you're acquiring users for whom your app performs well, and because it performs well for these users, your engagement and retention strategies will be more effective, and you'll have a higher return on investment. But what if you have poor quality reach? This is the situation where users can install your app, but do not experience good stability or technical performance when using it. In this scenario, you can inadvertently acquire users whom you will not be able to engage and retain. If you're spending to acquire these users, this is obviously not a good use of your acquisition budget, but the consequences go beyond that. If enough users experience poor quality and leave low ratings for your title, this will hurt your ability to acquire even the users for whom your title does perform well, since Android Vitals and store ratings may affect your app's discoverability and conversion in the Play Store. This is why reach and quality are so foundational to your success on Google Play. Another scenario that you want to keep an eye on is missed reach. This is where users could theoretically have a good experience, but your app does not reach them. Whilst this doesn't prevent you achieving success with the users that do have quality reach, it still limits your app's scale and possibly also its ROI. So your foundation for success on Google Play starts with quality reach. The broader your quality reach, the more you are leveraging the scale of Google Play. Think of quality reach as the width of your upper funnel. Then you build on this foundation by lining up your acquisition and growth strategies behind your quality reach for sustainable engagement, monetization, and retention. How do you put this into practice? There are three types of decision that determine your app's quality reach. First, devices. This is what device specs you build for and target. Second, geographies. This is about what countries, languages, or localization you offer. And lastly, testing and optimization. This is what you plan for and prioritize during development, pre-launch, public testing, and so on. These decisions are very hard. Play has huge scale and diversity, both technically and geographically. This can make it difficult to understand what it will take to reach users and the business case for doing so. For example, Regina talked earlier about the appetite for exporting your apps from Latin America to other countries. Suppose you're a developer in Brazil. Perhaps you know what device models are relevant in Brazil, but what happens if you want to export it outside Brazil, even outside LATAM, to India, the US, or Europe? How do you find out what types of device specs you need to plan for? Would some countries require less investment than others because they're more similar to the markets you're already in? What's the right level of investment? To address these challenges, we recently launched a new tool in the Google Play console called Reach and Devices. Reach and Devices is a data and insights tool. It helps you make better decisions about geographies, devices, and testing or optimization across the entire lifecycle of your app in order to maximize your quality reach on Google Play. The tool achieves this by helping you to understand or predict the distribution of your users and your issues across the Google Play ecosystem. Think about every decision you've made about min spec, country targeting, language support, and so on. They all come down to answering two questions. Where are my users and where are my issues? Reach and Devices takes data about your app and its peers and presents it in new ways to help you answer these questions and making it easier to get all the relevant teams in your organization on the same page. Let me walk you through some of the features and benefits. The tool focuses on helping you to understand your users and issues, so we give you the distribution and trends for both. The metrics we've started with are installs, crash rate, and ANR rate, but there are a number of new ones to come soon. You can explore your user and issue distributions across a number of different dimensions, including Android version, RAM, and screen metrics, which were added recently, and again, there are more to come. You can compare your own data with peers to spot opportunities, and you can use this peer data to plan for quality reach for your next app before you even start development. Also, because we know that your launches often start local, not global, we give you country filters for more precise launch and expansion planning. And finally, for maximum flexibility, you can export all of this data to join it with other data that you may have and for additional analysis. We've had great feedback from developers who've been using it already. They've got value from it in many ways across both business and technical teams, including resource allocation, root cause analysis. Both of these are from technical teams. And device targeting, min-spec decisions, which is often a decision that's taken by business teams as well as by technical teams. So this is a tool that is relevant to many different types of role within your business. To get started with Reach and Devices, just go to the Play console and find it in the left-hand navigation. We've also put a link to further reading on this slide if you want to learn more. Thank you for listening. I do hope you found this useful. Up next, you have a short break.
just to show you that you're one. Sing it. Oh, sounds inviting you to stay. All the stars around you. Be together, that's the way of singing. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way. Breathe, your moment soon will come. All the stars around you, just to show you that you're one. Sing it. Oh, sounds inviting you to stay. All the stars around you, be together. That's the way of singing. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way. Breathe, your moment soon will come. All the stars around you, just to show you that you're one. Sing it. Oh, sounds inviting you to stay. All the stars around you, be together. That's the way of singing. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way. Breathe, your moment soon will come. All the stars around you, just to show you that you're one. Sing it. Oh, sounds inviting you to stay. All the stars around you, be together. That's the way of singing. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way. Oh, sparks in every move, sparks in every day, sparks on every way.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed the break and got some stretches in. My name is Tammy Ta, and I'm on the growth consulting team here at Google Play. We focus on researching industry trends and providing benchmarking analysis on engagement, retention, and monetization. I'm excited to be here today to talk about the importance of the user onboarding experience. Let's some context on why onboarding is important for engagement. We all know that engagement is key and even more important than acquisition and monetization. In fact, engagement amplifies the power of both acquisition and monetization. For example, for acquisition, higher engagement means there's more likelihood of word of mouth spreading. Higher engagement likely also means a higher LTV, which means you could find users at a greater cost of acquisition. Not only that, higher engagement also means there's better return on your investment. If engagement is so important, why do we focus so much of our time on acquisition and monetization? My theory is that it's because engagement is quite hard. It's much as an art as it is a science, and how you drive engagement varies considerably. I'm sorry. Sorry about that. It is much an art as it is a science, and how you drive engagement varies considerably from app to app. Even harder is how to drive top of funnel engagement. This is also known as new user onboarding. This session will dive into onboarding best practices and tips to consider when thinking about what the first 10 minutes of your app experience should be like. Google Play ran a survey a few months back asking users who canceled subscriptions what their reason for doing so was, and they cited cost-related issues on the first day. But after the first day, it was clear that the main reason why users canceled their subscription is because of lack of use. That's intuitive, right? Why pay for something that you don't use? As app developers, we want to ensure that users see value in the app they're using on day one. High-level KPIs like sessions over users or stickiness gives you important signals at a high level, but in order to truly understand engagement in your app, we have to see it from the user's perspective. Here's a list of states in the user journey that we've created and analyzed. Let's do a quick overview before we specifically dive into onboarding. Most of the terminology will be familiar to you, with some exceptions that I'll call out. The stages highlighted in green exist to educate users about the app. Onboarding new installs is relatively obvious, but what about the other states like reinstalled or re-onboarded? For example, when a user uninstalls your app and then reinstalls it again, what happens? And does your app have a re-onboarding flow to give reactivated or reinstalled users a chance to get reacquainted with your app? The stages highlighted here in orange are your stages of increased engagement, including the activated, committed, and reactivated stages. Once a user has been onboarded and introduced to what your app is about, it's critical that they graduate to activation. Activated users are onboarded users who have interacted with the core action of your app often enough to understand the value proposition. Once they've been activated, it's important to graduate them to commit to your app. They should be habitualized to the value proposition of your app. Committed users are your app's most loyal users who have fully committed to the app's value proposition and have demonstrated the perfect product and market fit. Reactivated refers to users who have disengaged but have come back. Then finally, we have the disengagement stages. What happens to a user when they leave for the short term or lapse? What happens when they leave for the long term and eventually churn? And what about if they uninstall? How are they reactivated? Are reactivation campaigns different based on when they lapse or different per stage? What is most important isn't where users are now, but where they are going. It's the flow of the users from one stage to another that we should pay closer attention to, because it tells us a lot about the health of our app and how engaging your app really is. So how do you define each of these user stages? How do you know when a user is onboarded? Well, you should pick your own definitions for how you measure each of these stages. Here are some examples that I've chosen for illustrative purposes. For example, we could track an onboarded user as anyone who finished the app's tutorial and have spent at least 5 lifetime minutes in the app. If they've done that, we can qualify the user as having onboarded. Activated is reserved for users when they've completed a core action at least once in the app. spent 10 lifetime minutes, and has had 2 unique sessions within the last few days. When it comes to disengagement, I like to measure lapse and churn in weekly increments so you can see what percent of users leave your app for a week versus a month or longer. Now that user segments are set, the session will be focused on top of funnel onboarding. We will do a deep dive on this topic, highlight some considerations and best practices to keep in mind when thinking about maximizing your user onboarding experience and getting your users to the preceding stages of the user journey. Now, how are we defining onboarded users? We define onboarded users as anyone who has been introduced to your app's value proposition. That could happen in a minute or 10 minutes, but once a user is onboarded, they get why they're there and what the app can do for them. Once a user launches your app, there isn't much time to waste. This chart shows a favorite KPI that we like to use to measure the effectiveness of onboarding flows. That metric is D1 minutes used by D2 retention, the number of minutes the app is used on the first day versus the likelihood that user came back the next day. D1 is the day of the first session. As you can see, the longer a user engages in the app on the first day, the more likely they are to come back the next day. You can also see that there is a declining slope to the curve, meaning they're eventually diminishing returns. In top performing apps on Play, you can see within 10 minutes about 20% of users have already decided if they want to come back. It's critical to introduce the best part of your app to users in the first few minutes of use. Don't bury the lead. This is a common pitfall with many apps. A quick note if you decide to keep track of D1 minutes by D2 retention KPI. It's important to see a steadily rising retention curve that we saw on the last slide. However, I've seen some apps show a couple of different patterns that we should avoid. The flat in a retention curve that flatlines or increases slowly, then picks up. The gorge is a retention curve that has a dip, then picks up. What could cause these scenarios? Apps with large secondary downloads, like some games, long forms and questionnaires, or difficult registration gates and hard paywalls during the onboarding stage could cause users to quit early on. Make sure to avoid slow load times, crashes, confusing navigation, as they all contribute to these patterns. We take a look at all the participants of LATAM Apps Week and their apps D1 minutes versus the median D2 retention. This is a solid curve. You'll notice that the curve is steadily rising, then flattens, and has diminishing returns around 35 minutes, where 50% of the users return on day 2. What's interesting is that at 60 minutes, that likelihood increases to 60%. My assumption is that these apps are likely content-based apps, and/or social media apps. Remember, not all categories are alike. This chart shows the average onboarded percent of new users who have reached the onboarded stage. In this case, users that have spent at least 10 minutes within a 28-day time period. You'll notice that in each category, the percent of users have reached the onboarded stage varies greatly. For example, most users in social have spent over 10 minutes, while health and fitness onboarded rates are much, much lower. Make sure to identify which key onboarding features are necessary and to highlight the value proposition of your app quickly. For example, if you're a dating app, should the majority of the onboarding time be spent creating a profile and/or highlighting key app features and our content? Can you tackle both at once? Now, when thinking about onboarding, you have to acknowledge that you will have all sorts of different users with different intentions. You could have users with very high intention, those users who know exactly what they want and know your app is where they can get it. These are purpose-driven users. Then there are users who might have stumbled into your app by discovering it on the Play Store or through an ad or word of mouth. These users are window shoppers. There's also a spectrum in between. Ideally, if you have the level of sophistication built in, you can tailor the onboarding for each type of install, specifically, especially if you have the meaningful install attribution data. Regardless, it's important to keep this diversity of users in mind while designing your onboarding experience. Does your app have a way to fast track your purpose-driven users to help them find what they want as quickly as possible? For example, a skip button to get through introductory content faster? Does it also provide enough railing to assist more casual window shoppers to discover and be sold on what your product offers? For example, do you walk users through each benefit of your app and/or service? Another concept to keep in mind is pacing, which is very important when onboarding users. It's critical to bring the aha moment as early as possible, but that doesn't mean that every feature should be unveiled immediately. The question is, if you were forced to organize each onboarding screen in your app by need to know to nice to know by each user journey stage, which features would you unveil now versus save for later? There are some features that are need to know, so introduce those to onboarded users, while other features are nice to know, so reserve those for later stages of engaged users. You could also telegraph features as coming soon so that users know there's something to look forward to. This also translates that your app is dynamic, fresh, and constantly updated. Let's take a quick poll. Go to the right side of the Hopin platform. Near the chat box, you'll find an area that says Survey. I'd love to know if you already have a dynamic onboarding framework integrated into your app. Choose A for yes, B for no, and C for it's something you're thinking about and considering. All right, let's check out those results. Awesome. I love that there's a good percentage of you guys that already do this. And it looks like it's evenly split for those thinking about it and those that haven't done it yet. So I hope a little more that haven't done it yet. Let's wait a couple more seconds to see if we could get any more results, and we can move on to the next slide. Oh, there we go. Well, this is moving really quickly. I'm going to give it 5 more seconds. It's really fun to see this fluctuate so drastically. But this gives us a good indicator of where everyone's at. I hope you find this session helpful in thinking about how to build a dynamic onboarding experience. So what are the steps we could take to design a better onboarding flow? First, define each key moment in the onboarding funnel. Whiteboard it first. Critically reason why each step is there. Map out the different types of installers, what would purpose-driven installers and window shoppers value. Second, once you are satisfied on a whiteboard, build the capability into the code. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect just yet. Ask a few trusted users for their opinions and iterate. Third, set targets for onboarding completion rates. Analyze drop-offs between steps and identify problem areas. Benchmark your onboarding flows against best-in-class peers. The fourth step is the most important. Seek feedback from different types of users, purpose-driven installers or window shoppers alike. Keep experimenting and iterating. Here's a quick and dirty example of a detailed onboarding flow. There are numerous third-party tools to help outline this, including Balsamiq and Figma, to name a couple. You could also print out each screen of your onboarding flow and put them up on a whiteboard or wall. I find this easiest to do because then we can dynamically change it on the fly when we're thinking about it and brainstorming together. Let's take a quick look at each moment in detail, specifically the events that happen within those moments and how long each can take. Let's start with the launch screen. These screens should take less than 30 seconds, but they're still important. Here, I would emphasize the logo and the app name. This will help drive brand awareness so users can start building an association when they see the app icon on their device. Next, consider the ideal place for account creation and what details you need from the user during this process. Do you need all the information at once? Or can users create a login and start using the app right away? Do the users even need to create a login? Depending on the monetization model, request for payment can also come later. If there are terms of service and other policies and disclaimers, make sure to be clear and concise as well. As we know, most users don't read T&Cs. So summarize what the user is signing up for. If your app requires PII and there's profile creation process, be clear here as well. Why do you need this data and how will it benefit the user? If the app ties into other services or phone features, like linking accounts, asking for a phone number, or enabling the camera or microphone or other devices like a Fitbit or a headset, make sure to be clear how the access of these features would be utilized in the app and enhance the user experience. Lastly, in the personalization flow, tell your users why it's important to build a persona and how the data will be used. Show them how much more valuable the app or service will be if they share more information. This will flow nicely into the education pieces of your app. Let's say you measured and noticed that there's a huge drop off at account creation, which was the second screen on my earlier example. In this case, you want to move up education in the flow so that users understand the product and service before they give their personal information. As mentioned earlier, at the top of the funnel, you can also serve different flows to different users based on the source of install, whether it's a paid campaign, if they came from a paid campaign or organically, or by asking a few simple questions up front to get them to their objective as quickly as possible. Most importantly, make sure to track and measure each moment in the flow so you can identify where users are dropping off. Build your onboarding flow so that it can be A/B tested and dynamic enough to make back-end changes easily. Let's look at some examples. Here's an example of a registration flow from Icon, a dialer, contact list, and caller ID app. The account and phone number registration flow is an integral part of the overall onboarding process and the key feature of the app. The team saw that the app uninstall event was happening most frequently right after installation. That led the team to analyze and break down the new user onboarding flow. They did a detailed screen-by-screen analysis of the registration flow with a drop-off at each step. With these drop-offs, the team decided to reduce some screens and A/B test the results. This detailed mapping exercise and subsequent experiments with their onboarding flow led to a significant increase in phone number registration and conversion rate. Oh, I'm sorry if I missed this screen. So I'm going to repeat it just in case that didn't show up. So this is the Icon, a dialer, contact list, and caller ID app. The account and phone number registration flow is an integral part of their onboarding flow. And so I wanted to highlight here how they measured each screen and the user drop off after each screen of their onboarding flow. And this led the team to analyze and break down the new user onboarding flow in a very systematic way and enabled them to kind of identify where users were dropping off. Apologies for not showing that slide. There we go. Here are other examples of app onboarding flows. Here, account creation is only after a few introductory screens on the benefits and the features of this photo app. Here in HBO's app, the new user can browse content all they want before signing up. There's also free content that they can easily find and engage in immediately. In addition, there's clarity around pricing of the subscription before having to create an account. Lastly, in this fitness app, after the user signs up, there are a series of screens that users go through to understand each feature, the benefits, and how to maximize the app experience for their needs. There's even a free trial offer upfront and specific step-by-step instructions on enabling the right features to the best track the user's workouts. They'll probably come out of the next 2 days with a ton of best practices. So I'll leave with just 5 key onboarding tips today. Remember, the key goal with onboarding is to get users to the next stage of the user journey that we discussed at the beginning of the presentation. In the first 10 minutes, we want to make sure we hook users by introducing the value proposition early on. You can track this by measuring day 1 minutes versus D2 retention. Clearly detail and map each moment of the onboarding process and be sure to build capabilities in your code to easily test iterate, and segment users so you can enable dynamic experiences throughout their user journey. This can be done with several different third-party services like Amplitude, Mixpanel, and Firebase. Keep in mind, the onboarding experience can be different for each user, such as purpose-driven or window shoppers, and it's not just for new users. Consider reintroducing app features for lapsed users as well. If you have a lot of apps like permissions and/or access, be clear on your intention and the benefits for data collection and why the additional access is needed. By providing a personalized experience based on the user's motivations and needs, you will ultimately push them to preceding user journey stages and maximize engagement. Thank you for your time. I hope you found this session useful. Next up is Tom, who will be talking about new Play console features.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Tom Grinstead. I'm a product manager based in London, and I work on the Play console. As I'm sure a lot of you know, the Play console is really the place to go to get the best tools and services from Google Play to help you, your businesses, your apps and games succeed. So what I'm going to do over the next 15 minutes or so is just remind you about some of the great launches we've had this year and how they can help you, and give you a little sneak peek about what's coming up in the year to come. So, what are we going to cover? Well, first off, we'll take a look at how we're helping you to keep your account safe on Google Play and what you can do to protect yourselves. After that, I'm going to remind everybody about what we're doing with ratings and reviews this year and next, especially on Play, and how the Play console is helping you adapt to that, because there are some big changes on the way. Then we'll look at some exciting launches we had earlier in the year, especially around engagement and business metrics and benchmarks to help you succeed and optimize your experiences. And lastly, we'll take a quick look about how Play Console is more adaptive, more flexible, and more customizable than ever before. So you can make it yours, fit it into your workflows, and make it really work for you. And as I said, lastly, we'll take a look at some of the exciting things the teams are working on, just to give you an idea about some of the things that you might see coming up in 2022. It sounds like a lot. We don't have much time, so I'm going to dive straight in. First, I want to talk about something that's really, really important, and that's keeping you and your accounts safe. Because when it comes down to it, your Google account, the thing you use to sign into Google Play and the Google Play console, that's critical, because if someone has that, they can do anything they want with your account. Obviously, it depends on what account settings you've got set up, and we strongly recommend that you use team members to manage the access that different accounts have to make sure that you're locking them down to only the permissions you want to give them. But there are other things we're doing to make your account more safe as well. We announced recently a new top-level piece of information we're asking from all developers, and that's account types. Today, you can go into the Play console if you're an administrator, go into your account settings, and select either a personal account or an organizational account. Obviously, personal accounts are for people who are working on their own, and they're really for individuals. Whereas organizational accounts, that's if you're running a business. That's if you're part of a development team. The reason we're asking for this information is because knowing the account type allows us to vary the type of service we give you and the kind of safety that we look for. Critically, in the future, we'll be looking at verifying accounts in different ways, because there are appropriate ways to verify businesses and other ways to verify personal accounts. So, going in and telling us what kind of account type you have now is one way that you will help us to help you in the future have a safe account and a fantastic service. Secondly, when we talk about safety, I want to remind everybody about multi-factor authentication. You probably already know this. This belongs on your Google account, and it means that as well as a password, you're asked to enter another piece of information to be able to sign in. For instance, using the Google Authenticator app or getting an SMS message with a code. Multi-factor authentication is one of the best ways to keep every individual Google account safe, and we recommend it for every single user. We already started warning people on Play Console if your account isn't using multi-factor authentication, and over the next year, we're going to be encouraging it more and more. I can't stress enough how much we recommend using multi-factor authentication to keep your accounts safe and to try to protect them from being stolen. Now that we've spoken about some of the more serious stuff, let's get on to some of the exciting changes that we've been making over this year and what's coming up next. And to start with, I want to talk about ratings and reviews. We all know that ratings are important. Users see them across Play, and they make qualified decisions about what they're going to install and try out based on what other users who've gone before them say. But we also know that ratings as they are today aren't really that dynamic. Importantly, they don't truly reflect the experiences that some users feel, because at the moment they're calculated globally. As we announced earlier this year, we're making some fundamental changes to the ratings that users see on Play, and that's starting with moving to local ratings. This means that instead of currently where users in Brazil, Mexico, and Argentina all see the same global rating, in the future, and this is starting to roll out imminently, users in individual countries will see ratings generated from other users in that country. This is great. This means that a user who wants to get a really good impression about the kind of experience you offer in a specific country will now get a better impression. Importantly, it also means that if you happen to have trouble in one country, it doesn't pollute the ratings in other core markets. Now, you might be wondering how you can navigate this change, and we'll make some key changes to Play Console to help you. I should also say before we move on that as well as countries, in next year we'll be doing the same thing for form factors, so tablets, auto, and wearables. So how's Play Console helping you? Well, to start with, we've already sent personalized messages to every app and game that sees substantial changes in the ratings that their users can expect. You can find these today if you haven't already seen them by going to Inbox in the Play Console. In it, we've called out any territory that has more than 5% of your acquisitions, and if it has a greater than 0.2 change in rating, we've told you what that change is going to be. It's the most proactive we've been in warning people beforehand if there are going to be positive or negative changes. But that's just the first thing you can do, because then you'll be wondering what you can do about it. Well, to start with, if you see a country that's going to have a major change in rating, you can start evaluating the experience that users have there. To help with that, in the ratings section of the Play Console, so this is ratings, breakdowns, and explore, you can see your country ratings. This is broken out and shows you your 28-day averages or longer if you're interested. The ratings that users see on Play tend towards being generated from most recent ratings. So looking at 30, 90-day averages on the Play Console gives you a good impression about how your ratings are likely to trend. But that's not the only change that we've made. Directly from the ratings page, you've also got the link to reviews. Here, we've added a brand new filter, which is country and region, and another one for form factor. This means that if you have identified a country that appears to have lower ratings than you want, you can quickly see, as well as that qual, the quant. You can see the reviews that people in that country are giving you. So what they're actually saying about the experience and how they feel about your app or game. And to make this workflow super easy, then directly now from the ratings pages, we've got these deep links on the right-hand side that takes you straight through to reviews filtered just for the country you've selected. Putting all these things together mean that it's now much, much easier to evaluate the different types of ratings and reviews you're getting from different countries and regions around the world. And as I said at the beginning, that's never been more important as we shift to ratings that are more personalized for users on Play. We're not just stopping there. We've done exactly the same for countries as we have for device types. So you now have device type breakdowns of the ratings pages and device type filters in reviews. And coming soon, then the team is working on bringing historic Play Store ratings to the statistics page. So in the near future, you'll be able to plot how your ratings have changed over time for users on Play. We've heard that people like you, developers, want this a lot, and we're really happy to bring it to console soon. So that's some of the key changes that are happening in ratings. They're becoming more personalized for users on Play, and the Play Console is helping developers to understand what the ratings actually are and the experience that their users are having. So let's move on to other ways that the Play Console can help you understand the experience that your users are having as well. Earlier this year, I was really happy that we launched a major expansion in the metric sets that we offer in Play Console. Critically, we added engagement and other comparative metrics to the statistics page. You can find them today by going to Statistics and Compare to Peers. These new metrics are some of the first time we've given true engagement metrics like DAU, MAU, and DAU-MAU. Critically, as you'll notice something like DAU-MAU, daily active user by monthly active user, the ratio between the two, they're also normalized. This means that they're essentially rates or percentages, so you can make really useful comparisons between different peer sets. In other words, it doesn't matter if an app is gigantic or smaller. The DAU-MAU, which is the ratio and the loyalty measure, could be used across both types of app. This meant that for all of the new metrics that we added peer sets. These peer sets allow you to compare across multiple different types of app and game. So, for instance, if you're a travel app, you can see the DAU-MAU of other travel apps. And if you feel like your competitor set goes beyond that, you can select one of any other 250 types of app or game to compare to as well. These peer sets are high quality and driven by the same systems that drive categorization on Play itself. But critically, we also built them to ensure that developer privacy and confidentiality is maintained. So the peer sets are large, they're high quality, but we don't share who's in them. This means that you can draw very useful and just comparisons between your performance and another peer set, but you can also be safe in the knowledge that your data isn't being shared to anyone either. All of these data and the peer sets are available across a range of different uses. So in Compare to Peers, you'll find information from store listing acquisitions, engagement, audience growth, and critically, and I think especially for some of you, monetization. So you'll be able to see peer set comparison data for really high quality industry measures like average revenue per daily active user or average transaction value. Put together, these really allow you to evaluate your own performance and identify places where you're doing really well or where there are growth opportunities. The reason we've invested so heavily in peer set comparisons is because we heard from developers that answering the question, is it good, was really hard. And what they wanted was a very good comparison. And that's what we built and launched earlier this year. As I said, there are loads of different peer sets to choose from, and I strongly encourage all of you to dive into the Compare to Peers tab in the statistics page today. We're very aware that as we features, and especially new metrics, the Play console just grows in value. But the challenge there is it also grows in complexity. So earlier this year, we also invested quite heavily in making the console, and especially the metrics offer, more personalized. To that end, we introduced customized KPIs. On the app dashboard, so this is the first, or technically the second page of every visit after you've chosen what app you're interested in, you've now got a button that says Choose KPIs. This allows you to open up the KPI picker and select any number of different precise measures that matter to you. So for instance, as a PM, I might be really interested in my daily active user measure and maybe monetization, but someone else might be handling my crash rate or maybe my acquisition data. Customized KPIs allows me to just add those metrics that I really care about at the top of my app dashboard. This means that the console can now react to the workflows that are personalized to me and my team. Even better, you can add the precise metrics that matter. So if you imagine that you're a country manager, for instance, you can select just the metrics filtered to a country that you're interested in, for instance, the engagement rate in Brazil, or in this example, the engagement rate in France. This means that no matter what kind of app or game you are, large or small, and no matter what kind of team that you work in, you can now adapt console metrics to suit your needs better and give you a fantastic snapshot of just the things that happen to you. Sometimes when you're exploring through stats, you also find something that's really helpful and you always want to go back to. It's also worth remembering that on the stats page, there's the Save Report option. That allows you to save any report that you've configured, and it allows you to name it. Also, really usefully, because Play console URLs are persistent, you can also copy the URL and share it with any of your team who also have access to the Play console, so you can share these reports around super easily. We already knew that this was a really helpful power feature, so we combined this feature with customized KPIs. So on the customized KPI option on your app dash, you can now select from any of the reports that you've saved in statistics and add them as well. This means that you can make incredibly detailed reports in statistics that drill down to something extremely specific, like a single device type or even a single device. And if that's what's important to you, save it and add it on your dashboard so it's always there when you visit the console. Sometimes a single metric is something you want to check every day, and these new workflows allow you to do that more easily than ever before. As I said at the beginning, there was a lot to get through, and I'm really happy that some of my other colleagues like Lauren have already shared some of the launches we've done this year. And hopefully what I shared just now has given you a taster of how the console has grown over 2021 to have more value, especially if you're into optimizing your apps and their business success. Lastly, I just wanted to share a few of the themes and areas that we're looking at working on next year. It's always nice to talk to people in events like this because it's always lovely to be able to share the work the teams are doing. Before I do, I should remind all of you that what I share hasn't been launched yet. So don't take this as hard promises, but just an idea about some of the investment areas that we're really excited about. At the moment, I can tell you that we're doubling down on some of the features that we already know that, that developers know and love. So for instance, subscriptions are being made more flexible with more options, better plans, and new ways for users to interact with your subscriptions. We're looking at driving more value beyond the acquisition with new users, with new ways to engage and monetize your users, sometimes directly on Play surfaces. We still know that acquisition, though, is extremely important. So we're looking in ways that you can that we can help optimize your ad-based acquisition funnel because Play still sits in the middle. And looking at some features like store listing experiments and seeing how we can make them better, faster, easier to use, and working across more different surfaces. And we know that above all, many people care about acquisition metrics, and we're still working on making them even clearer and more helpful than they are now. Lastly, we also understand that all of you want to be policy compliant, and sometimes that's a challenge. So, in fact, starting with the launch from only a couple of days ago, we're increasing the information and tools that you find in Policy Center to make it easier than ever to understand how to become, stay, and be safely policy compliant, so you can carry on publishing your fantastic apps and games on Play as well. This is just a small taster of some of the amazing things the teams are working on, and I can't wait until next year to share with all of you some of the work that they've done. But until then, I think I will now hand back over to Carol to see us out for the rest of the day. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, Tom, and thank you all of our speakers. And I would like to thank you all of you joining us today as well. So it was great to have you today. We have another 2 sessions tomorrow. So our engagement and monetization session will start at 11 a.m. BRT and 8 a.m. CDT. And our technical webinar on developing for success will start at 6 p.m. BRT and 11 a.m. CDT. Just keep in mind, there's more content to come. We'll deliver it on your inbox throughout the week. And please let us know how we did today. This is super important because your feedback, it's what helps us and helps us build better events for you, helps us bring the right information for you. So let us know how we did, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for joining Google Play LATAM Apps Week. Bye-bye.